Welcome to another episode of Roll or Die. Today's episode guest is another repeat guest. Go back through our back catalogue to episode number 84, I think it is, to listen to the first time he came on. He is, people who know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Australia will be no stranger to this man. He is a very active competitor. He's been on the scene for many, many years. He is the owner and head coach of One Purpose BJJ in Brisbane. He is the world grappling champion of 2025, the World Pro Master 1 champion of 2024, and he is our friend Bob Frias. Thanks for joining us again, Bob.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
I listened to the episode episode 84 with you. Anton was the host at that time as well with Kim. It was an awesome sort of journey right up until 2020 or 2021 with your jiu-jitsu story, Bob. So that was awesome to go through. So if you haven't kind of listened to that one at some stage, go back and listen, because it was from you being a kid, right? And then being tormented in some ways on the mats by bullies and that sort of thing, to being the person that you are now. So the backstory on you doing jiu-jitsu is awesome. So check that out. But how are things now, mate? Like you're very active on the comp scene. You've got your own gym. So how's the balance between training and competing and coaching? How's it all look for you at the moment?
It's wild, man. You know, a lot of people, I've always heard for a lot of people, like once they start, coaching, having their own gym and things like that, it's almost impossible to keep competing. And, they're not wrong. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of juggling things around. The busier we are now, this year we start our second gym in Slacks Creek. So it's a little bit closer to our house than our other gym. So my young son, Otavio, the one that just turned 4 years old, he's been training there since the opening, basically. So he's almost a gray white belt. Now we're going to promote him in the end of the year. And it's fantastic. It's been a great expansion for us. It also supports One Purpose, gets One Purpose ready for the future, so that when the coaches, like more of our black belt coaches, we've got all our coaches are breed in-house, so we have never outsourced coaches. We're very proud of being able to give opportunity for everybody that's coaching with us now from as a black belt. White belts came from white belts with us, and they're really good competitors, and they just really good jiu-jitsu, and they all have different styles as well. They don't all just follow my style, which is even more something I'm very proud of as a coach, because the way I try and teach jiu-jitsu, it's not just, obviously I teach them what I do best, but I'll also be teaching them berimbolo. I'm also teaching them guards with the lapel and things like that I'm maybe not the best at, but I believe that people will find their own style, and you just gotta give them the guidance, you give them the movements, and they'll find their own style. And I think that's what I stand by as a head coach, in terms of technical development for my students and athletes and coach. So it's good stuff, man. Yeah, the balance is not easy, man. So sometimes we have to put more effort in work. So when I've got a project happening, I sort of step a little bit down from training as hard, and maybe doing my extra weight session, an extra stretch session, doing massage, or whatever it is that we do to become a more complete athlete. I got to sort of step that down a little bit. Focus a little bit more on work. Whenever I have important comps coming up, I do the opposite. Work's left aside, and I stop the projects, and I don't care if we don't grow as much as a business, and things like that, and that's okay as well. You gotta make peace with it, and then it's the same with family. You always gotta try and find time with the family. I think now, Tegan, and my wife and I, we try and make sure that we have those family times on the weekends when we can, because we are so often we are weekends away. The last couple months I've been away so many times, doing seminars, traveling, competing. She was competing at Pampax, yeah. So was Kim. Kim, how do you go there, Kim?
No, not good this year. No dice for me this year at Panfax. I was in a different division. Tegan and I are different ages too, so I'm looking for some older people. Where are the 50+ women? Come on and compete again. I need someone my own age. I'm always going down in age. Bob, you were saying before we press record that you're focusing a little bit more on the WPJJ rather than the IBJJF tournaments. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the AJP, um, the Jiu-Jitsu professional, association, that's what they used to call the Abu Dhabi, Jiu-Jitsu the Abu Dhabi Jiu-Jitsu professional, and they used to have different nomenclature, I think, for the name. Anyways, they've been giving a lot of opportunity for athletes, especially like in the gi. Yeah, things completely changed when the federation started. Like it was 2004, 2005 or 6, I don't remember. But when the federation started, it was a massive shift in the jiu-jitsu world. I remember being in Brazil, and all of my friends, because like it was, I think, good cash prize, they were paying for people to fly over and compete. They were doing their own world championship, so it was competing directly against IBJJF, which was the monopoly of like the competition sort of scene, but they were paying nothing, right, to that. When the Abu Dhabi Federation came and started paying, $10,000 for the champions and flying people over, man, it was crazy. Like I remember all my friends, the guys that like Murilo Santana, Thiago Alves, all the guys that were so good, the top black belts we had in Barbosa at the time, all like putting effort and emphasis into competing these events and trying to make that, and I was just what was I like at the time? Maybe like a blue belt and then purple belt later, and I was just watching that, just witnessing that boom of jiu-jitsu really expanding. It's like, oh, now there's promise for jiu-jitsu to pay some money for athletes. Now there's something, because at that time, 2004, 2005, maybe you win a protein powder in a competition. It was anyone's dream. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous to think about it. Like now, blue belts, earning money in competition. We had 2 competitions here a few years ago. Our team won 2 of them, but the blue belts were getting $5,000 in the event, and our team luckily won both of them. It was the classic jiu-jitsu. Teams from all over Australia would come. It was I think 16 team bracket, 5 versus 5. It was really good. And like I used to tell them, like, it's amazing, like each one of you guys walking away with $1,000 of this competition. It's as blue belts. This is incredible. Like, it's unheard of. And yeah, I mean, it's happening, and you look at Australia, like it's slowly happening more and more. America, Europe, it's everywhere. This weekend, how many professional events did we have this weekend? It's awesome. But the Abu Dhabi Federation is a really good federation, for people that like, I mean, if I don't have like my year, it's not always like super well planned. We've got lots of things. Sometimes you get super fight invites, sometimes you don't get them until like later in the year and things like that. So at least the Abu Dhabi the federation, competing in a federation, you can still stay active and you can look for something and you can still get some money out of it. Last year was really good for me because I won. It was my first world champion, my first world title. Yeah, like after 26 years training jiu-jitsu, I've got to the podium at Worlds the year before. I think 2023, I got second in the master division at World Pro. In Brazil, I had gotten the podium in a world championship in a different Brazilian federation as well. It doesn't have the same sort of weight or prestige as IBJJF. But like the first world title was last year, really, that I really felt just like incredible. It was a very special feeling. Winning, for me was, and I was able to also be best Renato Cardoso, who I had fought already. Like we had fought like 3 or 4. That was the 4th time we fought together. So he beat me. I had a disqualification once because I spoke to the referee while he was doing a wrist lock on me. It was a funny situation many years ago as a black belt in Brazil. And then the second time, I think he beat me by like an advantage, or like and the third time was the same thing. It was always close matches, and then the year before, I was doing the finals of the world master with him, and I was winning by 1 or 2 points, and then he got me on an IBA. And I was like, oh no, that sucks. And then last year, I was able to, like, the same final, right? We had the same final. And I was able to I was actually losing. I went to Pulgar and he got the 2 points like by tapping my leg, and I changed. I beat him the last 10 seconds. I think I did a knee level sweep on him. Went to mount, almost on by. It was just incredible moments.
Do you think, Bob, anything changed for you in the last 12 months like mindset wise, or any way that made that change? You said, you've gone 26 years and then you finally now got a world title. Has there been any change, you think, that brought that about? Or
Oh, I think that one of the change mindset wise, it was like I don't care about the title anymore. I don't want to win anymore. I don't care if I win or not. That was it. And like if I do, good. But I'm just trying to be better than what I was. I'm just trying to improve as an athlete. That was the only goal, really. I'm just like, as long as I'm improving as an athlete, because that way it takes the pressure away. You just focus on the things that are going to take you to the world title rather than, you know what I mean, thinking about the goal. And I think really everybody should just think like that. It just takes so much the pressure away and you perform better. It's just easier.
and what
In my
about
opinion.
in some of those super fights? Like, you've had quite a few of those, and some of them have been against some real monsters. Big guys. Like, I think you've gone against Josh Saunders, and he's huge. And have you gone against Augusto Casino as
No,
well?
no,
Oh, no,
no.
you
We
haven't.
friends, but
You
no,
haven't had him
never
yet.
fought. No,
But
never fought
you've
August.
had some really big guys where you're actually being the small guy. Do you have to change your approach when you're going into those sort of super fights, or how do you prepare for
I
those?
always, I always try and strategize to a certain point. Like my match with Josh Saunders. I was really planning to pull guard at some stage in the match. But because I was feeling so confident and dominant on the feet, we end up changing the strategy mid-match. Me and my cornermans, my friends from Clube de Lutas in Sydney, Khalil and Alex. Alex, super experienced, jiu-jitsu coaches and great friends to me. So they're like, no, just keep going, like you're doing great. And I really, honestly, I felt like I was completely dominating Josh in the hand fight and pushing the pace. And a guy at 30 kilos more than me, you would expect him to sort of, like try and take me down, maybe, but it was just walking forwards, and I was walking sideways and dominating the hand fight and kicking his legs and touching the legs. But I mean, I obviously, he didn't want to commit to any takedown. I didn't over commit to any takedown. The justification of his win is because he defended two of my takedowns with suplexes, which he didn't land on top either. So it just maybe looked better, I think. And he pulled guard. That was that's something on him. So I understand that. I could have now, like like obviously. When you look back into something, what could I have done more? Besides the fact that I was feeling dominant and I felt like he wasn't doing much in the match, and I was just sort of waiting for him to do something. I could have, I should have just stick to the plan. I guess pulled guard. I don't think he can't pass my guard. I just should have done it, and I think that's the sort of strategy mistake that at the time was made. Was just like not sticking to the game plan, and sometimes that happens. But it's okay. It's all learning. Like it's all good. It's all part of the game. I like it. Winning or losing. We got to get better. Something that close. You gotta, at the time you get upset and all of that, but you can't hold into it forever. I would love to have a match with Josh back in the future. He knows that. It was the last ADCC. It was ADCC trials in Thailand. I'm like, I was going to fight Lucas Canard, and I think that was the quarterfinals. And I'm like, hey Josh, if I win the trials today, I'm going to challenge you again for a rematch. And then I end up losing by referee's decision to Lucas. It was a very close match, um, and yeah, no, it didn't happen. It's okay. One day maybe. Yeah, I'm getting older as well, and maybe I'll get less interested in fighting people in a much bigger weight class.
Bob,
Yeah.
I've got two questions, mate, that kind of go on to that. So the first one is, would you rather have a match against somebody that you have had a match against previously, or would you rather have an unknown opponent?
Sorry,
So that's the
it just
first
cut you off a little
question.
bit. Sorry.
And then the other question is, what's your favorite type of match? So in a cage, on a platform, what rule set? So would you rather have a match against somebody you know or don't know? And then what rule set and what sort of, in a cage, on a platform, what do you prefer?
Oh, I don't mind, honestly. Like, I think if there is, when there's money involved, whatever pays more, I'll take. Literally, like I don't care. Uh, I personally don't like fighting on the cage because I've never trained on the cage or even wall wrestling once in my life. I fought in the cage twice without ever training on the cage. I fought the first time was just a stupid event that was in, I'm sorry to use the name, but it really was, in Sydney, where I was invited. It was inside the guys' gym, and I think there was so many stars there at the time. It was just after COVID, and I was there. Tito was there. Isaac Mitchell was there, and that was the first time I fought Isaac, and he was on the cage, and I think Harry Gretsch ended up winning the event. So it was a 16-man bracket, right? So everybody's expected to have 4 matches to win. I think Harry had 2 matches and won the whole event because everybody got double DQ. Basically, you couldn't pull guard. You had to submit someone within 5 minutes. If nobody was submitted, 2 people were disqualified. So I bought my flights to go there to Sydney to compete this event. And I get there, and then they're like, surprise rules, this is what it is. And I'm like, how do you expect, like, just make a decision. Like, somebody has to win. You can't just do double DQ because someone, we knew before it started, someone is going to win without having matches. And that's what happened, and yeah, just silly event. But anyway, sorry, that was my lost track. But the first time that I fought in the cage, that was it, and it didn't feel good. Like I don't really know what to do off the cage. That's that. There's no better way to put it. And I recently had a match in the cage as well with Tommy Gunn, Thomas David, nice guy. So we had a match at Pampex last year, and then it was a very close match. I ended up winning it, and then the guys offered me a rematch at FFC, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, of course. Like, Tommy's a good athlete. I didn't have much stuff booked at the time when I accepted the match as well, so I didn't know what was happening yet in my in my schedule. And yeah, he took me off. Took me down off the cage as well, and I just didn't know what was happening. Honestly, I didn't know how to defend it. I tried my best, and then he rolled those 2 points and ended up winning by points. So yeah, I definitely prefer DCC style, where it's just like open and you would just push and keep rolling out of the mats. Probably if I have to have a match in the cage again, I need to train like that. That's for sure. I gotta get some cage training. I can't just go there the way I've done the 2 previous times. I'm not that young enough to do silly things like that anymore. I've been after so yeah, but like I do have interest, like I've been wanting to fight ADXC for a while. Being constant. I think one of the strongest male representatives of Australia and Oceania at the AJP, and AJP is the federation, the Abu Dhabi Federation is directly linked with ADXC. And then this year they had the first World Grappling Championship, so that was something that came up on the map. And because I didn't have much booked in for that time of the year, was it 3 months ago or so when I fought it, I was like, oh, let me jump in here, like you look promising, they and again, I like the rule set, the way they established it. It was very similar to ADCC, but no points scored. So basically, dominance, and submission attempt, aggressiveness, mat control, all of these things are taken account. And yeah, it was a very, very good match. And then the bracket came. It was a massive bracket. I was definitely not the favorite. There were a lot of Russians there that we don't see them competing much because they don't go to America. They can't do the IBJJFs, and they only stay in Russia or Abu Dhabi, around this sort of side of the world. But there was some really, really good Russians. Philippe Andrew was there, and we had a couple of other Brazilians. I was not the favorite to win the bracket for sure, and it just end up happening as well. I had a rematch with Philippe Andrew on the semifinals, and there's a good rematch for me because, and it's lovely when things like that happen, right? So we fought last year in the final of the adult professional Abu Dhabi Championship in the gi, and he beat me. So I won the master one, and then I got second in the adults and the professional. So I lost to Philippe Andrew in the finals. That week was a crazy emotion because I won my first world title, and then I knew that I couldn't celebrate because I had to get ready for the professional, and it's good because you get money as well. So it was like $6,000 US for the Master 1. I was super happy. I was like, yeah, last year I only got 3,000. This year I got 6,000. Yeah, let's go try and get some more money in the adult professional, and then start getting focused. Go all the way there. Make the first day. I'm like, I was getting super tired, but I made it with some really young guys as well fighting, and yeah, and I got to the second day, and I got to the finals, and I was like, well, now I gotta focus again, and then. Yeah, and then I lost the final. I lost the final to him by points, and I was like, "Ooh, that's like such a mixed feelings." It was crazy because he was like, "Oh, I got so close. Oh, but I also won. Oh, but I also lost. But I got a lot of gold, a lot of money. Like it's good."
You mentioned about so going back to the IBJJF versus the AJP. Like, where do
Yeah.
you think the IBJJF fit? What's your opinion on them as you said, they used to be the monopoly. They're not so much anymore. But how important do you think they are to the jiu-jitsu scene?
Yeah, look, they used to be, back in 2006, for example, even up to being honest, like even up to 2004, 14 and 15, like they had such a strong name. They didn't have as many competitions, so competitions had more prestige, everything. Like now they have like a competition, three competitions sometimes in the same week, and like the things are, it's wild and it's good, it's growing the sport, but that's what the platform is there for, people to get experience. It used to be a platform for people to test themselves, not to get experience, basically. Now it's almost like there's like local IBJJF competitions, so the sort of prestige is just watering down. You look at Pampex, right? Like how many people used to compete, and the way you used to have, it's just not the same anymore. You still have a lot of good guys and tough people competing, and you still have a lot of professionals competing into IBJJF competitions. But they're doing this mostly for the sake of, it's not, it's not for money.
I
It's
think it's
definitely not for
for
money.
the black belts. It's for the points in the Pan Packs anyway, because there's not any other IBJJF comps in Australia, so it's a little bit
Yeah,
strategic for some of them.
and I think that's another thing, right? They put so little effort into outside of the world. Like AJP does at least 2 or 3 comps here a year, and closer to us in Australia, and you can get those points, and with those points you can go with everything paid for to Abu Dhabi, and then have the opportunity to get money. Like it's, for me, it's a no-brainer rather than going to, putting all that money into Pampex and all that money into something that will never get money back to you, like in a direct sense. It'll can give you the prestige and stuff, but again, like all of that's fading away now. We've got people that are like, so many 15 times Pampec champions and things like such, and you see how much that actually has been able to be leveraged into
Can you tell
something
us
else.
what it's actually like there in Abu Dhabi at the AJP? I've heard, in terms of the atmosphere and things like that. How does that compare to, say, local tournaments?
I'll tell you how it compares to IBJJF Worlds, right? IBJJF Worlds, you get there, you're just another person. Nobody cares for you unless you're part of the big team. Being a person from, Australia, if you're not really well ranked, if you haven't traveled a lot all over the world to rank yourself really well, you're going to get in a very bad place in the bracket straight away, which is awful, because we don't have many competitions here to be able to do it in the first place. So if you're expecting young black belts that maybe don't have as much money to be traveling and doing all of that, if they are in Australia, they're screwed, because a flight to America is what, $2,000, so they're screwed. And then you go there and it's just like another person, and then like I've had to do a couple of times. Like I think the last time I fought IBJJF Worlds was like 2023, and I beat 2 of the best Brazilians. The guys had won the Brazilian championship that year. Another guy, I beat both of them the first couple of matches, and then I go and I fight guy from Alliance the third match, and I've got who else? I was fighting Demetrius from Alliance, my third match, Demetrius Souza. And they had like the whole Alliance team, maybe like, 20, 30 people. It was the last match of the day. Everybody sitting there. And then I had one of my mates that trains a unit, Felipe Cesar, there in my corner. Like, like, go ball, man. Like everybody else screaming. I was losing the match. I started behind, he passed my guard. It was like 7-0, I think. And then I sweep him from half guard, right? Somebody, somehow, something happened to the screen. The screen went black as I was sweeping him. The referee stops the match, starts him again on top of me in half guard. Don't award me my points and say keep going. I was like, that's it. I was like, I'm never doing this again. I'm never fighting IBJJF again. I'm never coming here to like waste my time and money in, like $5,000 to bet almost to come here and compete in these events, and then they do this bullshit, like just because there's so many people there. The 3 referees, actually very experienced referees. It was one of the last matches of the day, so they were very tired. Whoever won that was going to go to the semifinals. They're probably very tired. I understand all of that, but it was just big disrespect. Like I felt like this is shit. Like they should have had like some cameras. They could have just stood by the little guy once in their life. And that's how I felt. So, anyways, I just haven't been. I will never go back. Even World's Master for me, like while I'm gonna go and fight World's Master now, when I'm actually getting paid in Abu Dhabi to fight Master 1 and professional still. So I will definitely do that. Once I retire from professional when I'm 40 onwards, but like for fun. But until then, just keep doing what has a little bit more leverage. So you get to Abu Dhabi. So you to picture you, the guy will be waiting there with a sign with my name or Abu Dhabi professional, and they're gonna a personal driver. They're gonna drive me from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, and then they're gonna drop me at my hotel. In the hotel, I'll have the meals paid for, breakfast and dinner. I think they only give you 2 meals a day, something like that. You get to choose, and then you go supermarket, whatever, eat something else, a little bit out of pocket money. They have a bus that's always going all day from hotel to competition. You have sauna in the hotel. You've got all the structure you need in the hotel. So it's pretty good. You get there in the venue. Like they've got country qualifiers the day before. It makes a lot for more of like a fair bracket chance for like people that are not doing 1 million competitions to instead of like you're fighting 20 tough people, you're just going to get the very 3 best Brazilians. You're going to get the very 3 best people from each country into one bracket, and that's it, and we go, rather than having like to fight all the toughest guys back to back for someone that doesn't have many points in IBJJF. Say what you will, the best must win, but it makes a difference. The way the bracket's structured, it makes a difference. You get too many tough matches back to back, you get tired. I had a match, DCC Trials 2023. I fought Alib. Alib's a very strong guy from Kazakhstan. Alib's a huge human being, and I had him first match in ADCC Trials, and I was ready to go home after the first match. Honestly, I was like, I've done my job. I'd be the strongest guy in the bracket. I'm ready to go home. He was definitely the strongest guy in the bracket, definitely. So in terms of strength and size, just super strong Alib is. And then that go my way to the final, and then I had to fight Isaac Michel in the final. I was exhausted. I couldn't even bend over already. My lower back was killing me, and I'm like, shit, I gotta do the final now with Isaac. Like he's gonna wrestle me. It's gonna be it's gonna be awful to be that drained and still have to do that again. Yeah, fun times. Yeah, good stories.
They are good stories. So, in regards to those brackets, how big are the brackets? So, how many people would be like in your bracket when you go over?
In Abu Dhabi, what they do is they have a country selection the day before the main bracket. So people that are not directly qualified. So if you're not like number 1 in the country, if I'm not wrong, number 1 or 2, you have to go through the country qualifier. So if there are, let's say, 30 Brazilians, those 30 Brazilians are going to have to fight each other. The very best of them will then go to the main bracket the following day. Okay, which makes it very, that guy that makes through makes it very tough for them. And I think last year, it was. I don't remember who made it through, but like the guy that wins the bracket, so it's basically already win a competition in itself. I honestly, they should get something else as well out of winning those country qualifier brackets. Sometimes it's tough for them, but it makes, I think, more fair for everybody else. I guess, I don't know. It's great for me. I like it.
And what's next for you, Bob?
So, Bob, someone's got.
Sorry, Brentos. What's coming up next for you, Bob? What have you got in the next few weeks?
So it's the Abu Dhabi World, and I'm going there. Just bought my flights today. They sent me my flights today. In 11, 12 days, I'm off to Abu Dhabi, and then I'll stay there for a week, do the Masters World, and the professional as well the same week. So it's about 7 days of competition. You'd think it's relaxing, but honestly, all I do is like I'm busy eating, resting, going to comp, coming back. It's not cutting weight a little bit. Don't need to cut much for that's 94 kilos and sitting at 95, 96. It's a very busy week. Don't get to do a lot more than being focused in the competition really. And then in December the 6th, 7th, we have the ADCC trials in Thailand. Yeah, so I'm doing that as well.
So someone out there's got $5,000, Bob, and they want a super fight, and they want you, and then you can pick somebody, mate. Who are you picking?
In that case, if I get to,
and don't make it easy, so you walk away with $5,000.
Well, if they just pay me anyways to fight, I'll probably get the best guy in the that I can either in the country or in the world. I'd love to have a rematch with Lucas Canado. I think they've offered him the rematch at Subversion. And yeah, we'll possibly face each other again in the DCC trials anyways in a couple of weeks if he's doing that. Yeah, well, I mean, but like I feel like it's really awesome because I feel like for some time I was at the at the just one of the best or one of the only best Australians representing Australia like overseas, and now that's not the case anymore. There's so many other amazing athletes there, and that's really good. Like it's growing. It's only going to keep growing more and more and more now. So yeah, it's really good to see the scene, and it's good to see it growing in here as well. Yeah, more competition in Spain, more cash, sponsors supporting more athletes. Things are happening, Jiu-Jitsu is growing, Jiu-Jitsu academies are growing, more people training Jiu-Jitsu, more kids training, I think people are being more mindful that Jiu-Jitsu is for everybody, and we got to it's just how we teach and how we structure that so that everybody, it's accessible for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody can benefit out of Jiu-Jitsu in different ways. It doesn't need to everybody want to be a world champion to benefit out of Jiu-Jitsu. That's not what. And then I realize that more and more as I get older as well and more experienced. If you ask the 16-year-old Bob, what does Jiu-Jitsu mean for you? It was to be tough, and it was to be. That's it. That was it. That was it. It means so much more to me now. It's incredible. I think
well, it's been incredible to see your journey, and you've definitely done heaps for putting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on the map here in Australia and for representing us, as you said, overseas. And we really thank you for giving up your time. We do a little pop quiz at the end here, and I'm actually really excited to hear your answers for these questions that Brentos is going to ask. So let's go, Brent.
All right, Bob. So I've got a couple of questions, mate. We'll see how we go with these. You can make these answers as short or as long as possible. So we'll see how we go. So the first one, mate, iPhone or Samsung?
iPhone.
CJI or ADCC?
ADCC for the rule set.
Yeah, awesome. And then CJI for $1 million, right?
Yes, different reasons. Yeah, it's like yeah, I'm telling you why I would. ADCC for the rule set, CJI for the cash. Absolutely, no brainer.
Pasta or rice?
Rice.
Steak or chicken?
Steak.
Strength or flexibility?
Strength, because it's what I've got.
Guard pull or takedown?
Depends, gi or no gi.
Well, that's the other question, isn't it?
Gi or no gi?
So which do you prefer, gi or no gi? And then
I like both. I honestly equally like both. It's different. It's different times. It's a can't answer to those. And same with the guard pulling and the takedown. I can't answer depending on what I'm doing. If I'm doing gi, I'll be pulling guard. If I'm doing no gi, I'll be taking down. So it depends. I might surprise you as well and pull guard in no gi. You never knows. I've done that before.
That's it. What's your favorite belt that you've been at, Bob?
Oh, that's a hard one. I don't know. Every belt has been so special in their own way. Has had I can tell you my least favorite was white.
Go for it.
Why was that?
Wow. I was a white belt from 9 to 14. I've never had a stripe in my life, and I never thought about quitting. I was just interested in knowing when I was going to progress in jiu-jitsu. I was 9, like from 9 to 14, and then I got my blue belt at 14. That was it. I know it doesn't happen anymore according to IBJJF rules, and they try and, I guess, abide by the biggest federation there. And so people, if they do want to do that, they can go and compete. Yeah, 9 to 14 as a white belt, that was awful. Because I'll always go to competitions and I would have kids that had. Yeah, so I would go to competition because I never had kids to train with. I would only train with adults my whole, childhood. It was like I was maybe, like 9, 10, 11, 12. The only time I would go and fight kids my own age was at competitions. And they were always like either green belt or yellow belt or orange belt. And I would beat them, or I would have really good rounds with them. So I knew that although I was a white belt, I realized that I could beat orange belts and green belts. So I was like, why can't I just take the belt if I'm beating them? But it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I made peace with it. I'm like, okay, one day eventually you'll get there. I never asked my coach about the belt. I just kept training, kept my head down. I think maybe I was embarrassed to ask. I don't know.
Just a couple more, mate. So you can do this. You've had matches and you've trained with some of the best around. So gi or no gi, or gi and no gi, either or. So who's the greatest of all time in gi and no gi for you?
Oh man, I've got the people. I always say that. I come from a time where we're not influenced by social media, and the best people were the people that were around me. So my professor, my master Barbosa, is the biggest icon that we have. Whatever else is going outside of that gym environment there, and it's happening overseas, and maybe people are out in magazines. Those were never the people that I would look up to, So the people that I would always look up to are the people that were close to me on daily, because I would see their grind, I would see their effort, and I think that that's something that lacks so much in kids nowadays. They dismiss the efforts and the grind of the amazing people that are next to them trying to make it through, and they'll just look, I don't know, like Mika Galvão, which is obviously just an amazing athlete, probably, like one of the best now of his time. And that's awesome, but your biggest inspirations for me always came from the people that were close to me, So my professor was in the gi, and my close friends, I had a very good group of athletes in Barbosa that were really good athletes as well, MMA athletes. We had Pedro Munoz, who made it to UFC. My friend Thiago Alves, who I started coaching with, and he was, became a UFC athlete as well. And we had, so many people that were really close to us. We had Thomas Almeida, who stayed in UFC for a long time as well. He used to train with us. So this guy is when you look up to MMA, these are the only guys that I watch. The only reason why I watch UFC, is when one of my mates is fighting, really. And I'll only watch their match, and that's it. It's the people that were close to me, and the guys that were doing no-gi. Like Felipe says, a friend from his same generation as me, grinding and did really good things in no-gi before I even started doing no-gi. Murilo Santana, so many times. Adriano Silva. So all these guys that were around me, like the guys that I look up to, the most, and always have. And yeah, the rest is I learn techniques from the rest. I learn everything. I get influence from everywhere, But the people that inspired me are the people that were around me. I was lucky enough to grow in a time where the flashy social media wasn't getting all that attention.
Yeah, mate, awesome. I've got two more for you, mate. Number one, can you drive a manual car?
Yeah. Car, bicycle, motorcycle, surfboard, and a paddleboard. What do you want? I can't do an airplane. That's one thing. Not yet.
Yeah,
I'm afraid of height. Yeah. Well, maybe one day.
All right, mate. And then the last one, this will decide whether we release this episode or not, to be honest with you. Do you wear Crocs?
No.
Okay, we're safe then. We are safe. All good. Thank you once again, Bob, for giving up your time. It took us a couple of weeks to get here. You're a super busy man, and we really appreciate, as I said, not just coming on this show, but all that you do for Jiu-Jitsu in Australia. It's fantastic to have someone of your caliber out there, on the scene, representing and showing the world, what Australian Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is at. So all the very best of luck for you in the upcoming competitions in the coming weeks. And we'll have this episode out in a couple of weeks, probably around the time you'll be there. So if you could share it, that'd be awesome. Do you want to do the wrap-up, Brentos?
Yeah, well, guys, thanks for having me as well. Thanks for the work you do. I think it's very important for the Australian Jiu-Jitsu community and helps grow the sport and keep the community tighter. We're still a small group, so growing, and yeah, that helps. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Brentos has been having trouble with his connection. Looks like he has frozen. I'm not sure if he's going to drop out, but he's stuck there. So for once, maybe I'm going to do the wrap up. Thank you very much to all our listeners. If you can rate, like, and share, we're on all sorts of platforms, as everybody knows. We're on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. So get out there, get your friends to share and listen to the podcast. We are coming up to episode 300. So we've been doing this for nearly 6 years now. So as Bob said, get behind it. We are just a small little podcast, but hoping to... Oh, Brentos is back. Here we go. Brent, I was doing the wrap up for us, man. Please save me. Come and do it. Yeah, I've never done it before. Your turn. Your turn. I do the intro.
Oh, mate, you're smashing. It's easy.
You do it.
If I can do it, you can do it. Anyway, that's it. Thanks, Bob. All the best for the tournaments and the matches that you have ahead. So go out, smash it, mate. I know that you'll do yourself, your family, and the country proud. So thanks for the way that you represent Jiu-Jitsu, in Australia. It's always amazing. To everybody else, just remember, please like, rate, and share the podcast. That's the best way for us to get amazing guests like Bob on. So keep rate, sharing these ones. Tell your friends about it. Tell the white belts. Tell the coaches. Tell those old 52-year-old purple belts about it. They got nothing to do, so they can have a listen when they're driving to work or to training. But that's it. We'll leave it there. That's another awesome episode of Roll or Die podcast. We appreciate you all, and we will catch you on the next one in a week's time. Much love. Peace out.